you know what? Well, let's get to Erase then, okay? So, I am a huge aficionado of time travel fiction. I've read H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. I've read the authorized sequel to it called Time Ships, written by a gentleman named Stephen Baxter, who writes a lot of hard sci-fi. He's quite good. And a couple of other stories as well. And of course, I devour time travel fiction. I mean, Terminator 2, my favourite film of all time. Odd choice, yes, but it's great. No denying it. Steins Gate, one of the best animes I've ever seen. Anything with time travel in it that's well executed in my mind ascends above. It's got that special preference to me. It's like my favourite flavour.
Are you a fan of Chrono Trigger?
I have never played Chrono Trigger. So I will now leave this podcast and never return in. I will begin.
I'm gonna play Majora's Mask. Speaking of time travel,
I'm going to enter my exile in shame. It'll happen at some point, but so then Erase comes along, and suddenly people start saying like, "You need to watch this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, here we go." So watch this, and like first episode, like, right, that's it. Butts in seats, let's go. Watching this from all the way to the end.
It's good, man. It gets you. It hooks you quick.
It hooks you quick, but it has one big caveat. I don't know if you'll agree with this on this, Doc, but I've got to say, and I know that some people, when I say it's going to scream, but the light novel, and I'm like, don't care. It's what they put on TV.
Yeah, it did.
It's what they put on TV that counts, right? Here's the thing.
I'm with you there. I'm with you.
All right. The show has pretty great momentum. Like, your hooks from pretty much episode 1, and then it only gets better from there, especially once they start involving Hinazuki's own plot about how she's being abused. Because you have essentially these two parallel but interlinked plots. Hinazuki's abuse and is it Sato? Satoru? Yeah, Satoru, that's it, yeah. Satoru trying to alter the past to save his mom and Airi and, of course, Hinazuki as well. And so you've got these two things that both drive and push things forward. But once he actually saves Hinazuki, the show to me seems to lose quite a lot of its steam. It's still good. It's not bad at that point, don't get me wrong. But it feels to me like I had this prediction in my head, right? Strange as it sounds, that I thought that what was going to happen is it was going to segue into a second season, because I've never read the light novel. I didn't even really know about that until someone pointed out to me later. And I thought it was going to turn out that once he had actually saved Hinazuki and got the teacher caught, he would return to the future and his mother would remain murdered because it's not the same guy. And I then had this strange prediction in my head that it was going to be Kenya who was actually the present-day murderer, because he always came across as a little too smart for his own good. Right. I thought he might be doing some copycat killing.
Also, weren't his eyes the color of the eyes of the murderer?
They were very similar.
Aren't they like both kind of red?
They were very similar from what I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, after Hinazuki's saved, it just kind of peters out from there, which is a bit of a shame. It's the reverse Steins Gate problem, because one of my criticisms of Steins Gate is it takes a bit of time to get going. But once Steins gets going, you're there until the end. And Erase has the opposite problem, and it gets going right from the start, but then kind of runs out of breath before the finish line, which is unfortunate. But it doesn't make it bad. By no means is it bad. And some of the stuff that they pulled with the editing and the direction in that show was phenomenal. I particularly love the use of the inner voice.
I know.
That was clever. I really like that. Satoru speaking as an adult when he's in his, to remind yourself that he's a kid. He's a kid, but he's a guy in a kid's body. And then you have the opposite thing when he wakes up after his coma, where he's reverted to a childlike state, but he's in an adult body. Clever stuff, and some nice transitions as well. Plus, such as when Sachiko takes a drag on a cigarette, puff of smoke. Very, very film noir almost, actually.
Yeah.
I will, however, have to ask you one question that may possibly ruin the entire show for you. Okay, so...
Wait, should I hear this? I haven't seen it. Should I
you
close my ears?
You won't actually know what it's about, to be quite honest.
You've already, if you've been listening...
I have no clue what any of what you said is about.
Okay,
so
I try to forget some of what you heard, if you want to go back and watch it.
Already done.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, hit the memory eraser button.
In from one ear, out from the other.
Yeah. Alright, so the question I have to ask is this, right? So we have the ending, and Satoru is now 26, so he's essentially jumped back 3 years in time.
You told me... Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, this is going where you think it is. Alright, so he's jumped back 3 years in time. That's right. Am I right in that?
Man, I've forgotten a lot of the specific details, but let's go with it.
I'm fairly certain he was 29, Harry. Now, you might recall that at the start
At the
of the
beginning
show,
he was like nearing 30.
And I'm pretty sure he's 26 at the point it shows us. So that's a loss of 3 years. Now, by consequence, all the characters, therefore, are 3 years younger, at least in the present day. So he meets Irie again, and I'm thinking, 1, she looks exactly the same as she did before. 2, isn't she underage now? This is just like, I don't like this. I don't like this. No, I don't want to end on this note. But I couldn't help but think of that when I saw it.
Oh, that doesn't ruin it for me or anything.
No, it didn't ruin it for me. It was just an odd observation.
I think there was like a question, right, of how much time passes between when he wakes up and then kind of what's going on
And the ending,
the montage that they do during the credits, because you see him recover quite a lot, and kind of when he meets Irie, he seems like his life has stabilized to a large degree.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was just an odd observation. I didn't read into it too much, but I thought, anyway, whatever. But overall,
it's funny though. I can't disagree with your larger criticisms, because I felt that too. That the wind went out of the sails a little bit, but I think I just liked all the characters enough that I was just gonna see it through to the end.
Yeah. At that point, I was committed anyway, and the material after she's saved, and when he then finds
when the identity of the killer is like revealed to everyone, that is a moment, man.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still really good. It just doesn't have quite the same driving push. It did before, which is
you're right.
It's unfortunate, but as far as criticisms go, to say that a show was really, really good and then dropped down to be really good. Please, I'll still take that. I've seen some slock in my time. I mean, Christ, do you want to go back to what we were talking about in our last podcast?
See the previous episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, Erased, fantastic.